Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel for this episode 2 here on New Frontiers with me, Farmer Murphy. Well, we spent our first night here in our new temporary home with our pickup truck, as you can see. And that reminded me of a documentary I saw a number of years ago about the old vehicles that you find in Cuba, like the 50s era Chevy Bel Air and Ford Crown Vics and that, and how those cars were so important to those families. They were handed down from one generation to the next because American automobiles were not available to the Cubans after Castro took over. So they highly prized these American automobiles, and like many of them were used for taxis and such. And they were so important that a lot of families would actually modify their homes and take and park their vehicles in their living rooms, not in a garage, but in their actual living rooms. And their living room was arranged around this car. That's how important they were to these families. And the fact that I had to spend the night with my pickup truck made me think of that, or reminded me of that documentary I saw. Oh, that was many years ago. The other interesting thing, a kind of a farming connection, they had to replace the engines, obviously, in those vehicles. And a very popular engine choice was a particular combine engine out of a Russian combine. And there were people, like individuals that set up shops just making parts for that particular engine to supply parts for these cars, for those engines. It was really interesting. But anyways, having to sleep with my truck kind of reminded me of that. But it is September 1st. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. I've cranked our time up now to 3 times where it'll stay. Let's head... Oops. Didn't get close enough. I didn't want to turn the lights on. I wanted to get out the door. We'll close the door after so critters can't get in, chew on our truck upholstery. So I did a fair bit of logging to get our money up to nearly $42,000, and all from in this area here to kind of open it up. Don't know if you remember what it looked like, but there was a lot of like this going on over here. Just kind of trees dotted around. It wasn't particularly heavily forested. There were a lot of these kind of trees, and where I think there's another one. Yeah, over here, this tree here. A lot of those dotted around. Man, didn't get much for those suckers at all. These weren't too bad, but the problem was we were chopping them up into pretty small pieces in order to be able to lift them onto the trailer. The lodgepole pine, this one right here, these were still pretty valuable. I got about the same money from one of these lodgepole pines as I did like these 2 trees here if I loaded those up. So they were pretty good. So I did take a fair number of trees out. Unfortunately, because this is multiplayer, like in FS22, in FS25 you don't get the statistics page because I can't tell you how many trees. But, well, I can tell you we went through half a tank of gas in our truck, and I think we got like 2 hours on it. So I did 2 hours of driving back and forth real time to the sawmill to get that money. But I want to thank a lot of you commented and gave suggestions of what you had done as far as delimbing. So I really do appreciate that. And, I tried most of your suggestions, and I actually came up with one that works pretty good. Kind of a combination of a couple suggestions. So I thought I'd show you here. Because I did not struggle doing that logging as much as I did that tree I showed you. So let's get out of this view here, and we'll just take this tree close to the building here. A, so it's easy for me to find, and B, I just thought I wanted to clear these 2 out of the way here anyway. So get our old chainsaw here out. Get this one knocked down. So this is the only logging I plan on showing you this episode. We are waiting for the bank's money to come in. We did get approved for a $200,000 loan. So as soon as we get that, it's going to enable us to buy the sawmill, but also get some haying equipment. And we're going to make some hay out of this grass in this meadow. So that's what we're going to be up to this episode. So this is the only logging you're going to have to endure here. But anyways, the trick I found that worked pretty good is you come up and you don't run straight parallel to the log. You want to run at a bit of an angle to it like this, something like that. There is a sweet spot, but some angle like this, you just run along and it usually does a pretty good job. You can jump across if you miss some. And just like that. That part there, we'll do it right now. We'll just cut it off and it should disappear. Don't need it. So there we go. It limbed it pretty good. Now, there will be some limbs that fell through the floor on the underside that it didn't get. It happens every time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop this log up and then I'll show you how I deal with those. Now, what I'm going to do is I did a test and I think I should be able to load 3.5 meter logs, no problem on our trailer. So I'm going to cut all of these in 3.5 meter lengths. Now I won't be able to load them all up because I won't be able to lift them all unless I cheat. But as part of what I want to buy is the equipment so that we can load these longer logs. So that's my hope. Now I think I might end up a little bit short of money, so I might have to load up some of these and sell them. But like I said, we take such a hit on chopping them up into like 1 meter pieces, and I had to start with in order to be able to lift them without using super strength. But I didn't really want to cheat. So I'm going to get this sucker cut up here. And I'll show you what I did with those. Now, I might have cut it. I wanted to use the maximum length I could. So I basically am about 1/2 meter under what the trailer bed is. If it turns out being too awkward, I might have to go down to 3 meters, but I think if I take my time, I should be able to load up 3.5 meter ones. No problem. Oops, 3.5 there. I did crank our time up. I can't remember if I mentioned that. I just ran it one time in August. So we had the same amount of time in August as we do in the other months, but it's up to 3 times now, and that's where it'll stay. Because I do like, I've said many times before, I do like the day to kind of progress. All right, so now we'll just pick one of these up. I'm sure we'll, oh, that one's clean. Actually, you know what? We're going to bring it down here. We'll just drop it here. You know what? I'm going to grab this one so I don't lose it in the long grass. Ah, there's one. So as you see, those were through the floor. So we'll come down here, and I would take, you know, on the larger, one of the larger sections here, just drop it down, and then you just repeat the process. You just need to get it above ground, and you can get rid of those guys, just like that. So it's not too bad. Like I said, I've always had some of those to trim, but that's how I do it. So that is a lot less onerous than what I was going through before. Believe you me. Now, one other thing before I leave you, while we wait for the bank's money to come in, I did get the county to come out and just grade us a path. Basically, just a grader came out, and this is just the dirt floor that is in the forest or meadow or what have you. Basically, just a path, 2 grader blades wide. You know, one coming out, one going back. Interestingly, our truck does know it. When we're running on this, it's fairly soft, and if I overload the trailer, the truck really struggles to pull it down this graded path. And then once it hits the gravel, it takes off. So once we get money ahead, I'm hoping to gravel that. But right now, at least we've got a path to follow. And I do need to pay the county for that, $8,000. I haven't done that yet. So I will do that while I'm off camera and we wait for the money. And I'll probably cut down a couple more trees. And I'll bring you back in when the bank's money actually arrives. So I'll see you in a few minutes. Oh, welcome back. You caught me daydreaming. I was just looking forward to the day when this was our logging device. How much is that sucker to lease, anyways? 23 grand. Yeah, I don't think we'll be doing that real soon. But the money came in from the bank. I did forward the money to the county. So let's jump in the truck and head down to the sawmill here, and we will finalize our deal there. And you get to check out our new road. Oh, whoops. Still in reverse. Yeah, 2.5 hours actually on the truck, and half a tank of gas gone. So I really didn't take out, I think there was just a couple little trees I took out. Other than that, I just kind of weaved my way through. And I'm pretty happy with it. You also can really see it's not perfectly flat. There is some undulations in the ground, so that's pretty nice. They do have the landscaping tool, the painting. You can't change it from a square to a circle. That would have made life a little easier if they had that fixed. I'm sure that I can't imagine they won't change that. But I would have much rather used a circle to do this, and it would have been a consistent width all the way, rather than using the square. You know, depending on the angle, it changed, and I had to go and kind of patch things up. But we made it. But there we have a path, and we get enough money ahead, we'll put some gravel on that. But I've got something to show you down here at the sawmill, other than just purchasing the sawmill itself. So we have arrived. So let's go and we'll buy this bad boy, and it'll be ours. Yes. So now when we drop wood in here, we'll be making whatever products this sawmill can make. Actually, I didn't even look at that. Let's go up here. So it makes planks long, and wood beams. Okay. So we'll be making those. Now, this is thanks to a suggestion by a new subscriber, Dust Bunny. And actually a special shout out and thanks to all of you who have joined. This series has garnered a little bit of interest, and I've got a few new subscribers just on the strength of it. Dust Bunny was one of them, and she had suggested the Gaming Joy industrial sawmill. Now I was aware of that, but you know what I forgot was part of it is this sell point. So now I put this in. So we still have a sell point for raw wood. So we can sell wood right away and get paid for it. It also acts as a buy point. We can buy wood products here if we want, but that wasn't the intention of putting it in. It was to have a sell point so we could still sell raw wood and get paid instantly, but we still have the sawmill producing products we need to make for our house and for sale. But I was down here once the bank had approved, and I knew that the purchase was going ahead. I was down here rooting around in this building, and look what I found. Now here is an old rusted up sawmill, portable sawmill, and I asked the employees if it worked, and they said as far as they knew it did. So this kind of came as a bonus. So I'm going to have this moved up to near our house, our construction site, and we're going to feed this and make our own products on site, and that way we won't have to transport them from here. So that'll work out really good. And like I said, this is a big shout out to Dust Bunny. She had suggested that mod pack, and specifically the sell point that she reminded me of, and I thought, that's going to work out really good. So I am going to get that, make arrangements to get that moved up. And so anything that we make here in this sawmill will be for sale. So that's the plan there. But what we're going to do is we are going to go online here, and we are going to order up some equipment. Actually, we can do it right now. We can do it right here. And out of that area that we've cleared away the trees, we are going to make some hay. We don't really have the money to make silage nor the horsepower, because the shop found us an old reconditioned tractor, and so this is what we're going to go with here, the old Massey Ferguson. Now we're just going to leave it as that, because we can add the front loader attachment, or something can be added later, and that's what we're going to add and use the front loader to load our logs. But that is our tractor. And you know what, we do not need a license plate on that, so we will turn that off. So that's going to get us going and enable us to start to do some farming. So we're going to buy that. Oh, you know what, I should do one last check in the used market. No, nothing. So next, going to buy this old mower here, old sickle mower, so we can mow. Buy that. Now we'll have to see. Hopefully we don't run out of money, but so after a sickle mower we're going to need a tedder. I would like this one here, or the Sammy's one, but I just don't think we can afford it. We'll just have to go with the Pottinger one and upgrade. So we'll buy that at a later date. We'll upgrade, I should say. So that's a tedder. We got a mower, tedder. Now we need a windrower. And again, I love this Sammy's one. Oh, we're still at 49. Oh, the baler is 22. So theoretically, do we have enough horsepower to pull that? Barely, right on the line, but it's pretty flat. You know what? I think we are. I was thinking we'd have to go with the this one here, the Kuhn one, but I think we can get away with this one. And that's one less piece of equipment we won't need to upgrade. Details, we'll buy that. Yes, and it still leaves us, oh nice, so we did have enough money. And then the last piece of the puzzle here is a baler. And we're going with this old Massey baler, small square bales. We can lift them by hand. We'll load them on our trailer by hand and haul them off to sell. Standard twine, and where we're at, we don't need a license plate on that either. Okay, so there we go. I'm pleased with that. Perfect. Now, I will leave me a little short when it comes to the front loader, but like I said, I can take some wood I can load up by hand and sell. Alrighty, that's why I figured I was short, because I forgot about the front loader. So let's head back to the shop. Actually, you don't need to come with me for that drive. I'll just meet you back at the shop and we'll check out our new gear. So we'll see you there. Well, there it is. There is our haying equipment. Not the biggest stuff in the world, but we'll get some hay made. Gives us another source of income. So that is all good. Let's jump in our tractor here. Take a look. In some pretty nice shape for an old tractor. 80 horsepower is what we've got. But you know what? It's better than the tractor we had before. Just sitting right across the way. That's all we had. So let's get this thing fired up. Oh, sounds pretty good. And I guess we're going to need the mower first. So I'll get that hooked on and I'll make the trip back to the farm and then we'll get some mowing done. So I'll catch up with you in just a few minutes. Well, we're back here at the farm. Let's get some mowing done. Now, this time around, I am not going to mow this entire area. As you can see, this mower does not well, maybe it'll go a little faster than that. Let's just jump into high range. No, 5 seems to be the 5 miles an hour seems to be it. Anyways, I'm not going to mow this entire area this time. We'll mow a patch and get it baled up, and then we'll do another patch later on. Oh, I obviously, yeah, I did cross our boundary there. Good to know. So let's go up here. Actually, get a little up. Let's actually turn the mini map on, and that'll help us drive down the edge of that boundary, hopefully. Now this area here in front of me, or to the south of our current dwelling, is where I'm planning on our crop fields being. And then between our shed and our house, right now anyways, my plan is to, that's where we'll kind of put our other machinery sheds and animal pens, sorry. I lost my train of thought there for a second. At least initially, as we grow bigger, we might need to move down into this area. And for now, I'm just going to leave it as native grass, but we do I want to plow in proper grass fields, obviously, at some point, because the yields will be much better. But, you know, everything takes a little time. At least this is a start. We're not just logging, we're farming too. Now, a little bit further. Because like there's bare patches and that. Oh, like we're not getting any grass off of there for some reason. I wonder why that is. Definitely our land. Clear up. Now there was, I thought that was an issue with the map that was fixed. Maybe it's just there's still a spot there. Oh well, it is what it is. Not sure why that is doing that. Now, eventually, of course, for profitability purposes, we'll get set up to make silage, but we'll definitely need to get something with more horsepower under the hood. So it's gonna be logging that's our primary source of income for the near term, that's for sure. But this gives us something else to do. We're not just logging. Oh no, can we? Oh yeah, I can pick a point there. We could do a little of this in cap. Now there was a rear mower that technically we had enough horsepower to run. Now actually we should check. No, it's not dropping any grass in there. Well, I'm going to see how big a patch that is, and what I might do off camera is I might try painting some grass in there, and then seeing if we can mow that, and that fixes it. Otherwise, it'll probably have to stay like that until we actually get a plow and can plow in a field. And then once we do that, once we've got a proper field, we should be able to use a worker on it then. But until then, we'll have to do it all by hand. I will, in this day, even if I have to pause the haying, because time does fly by at 3 times, we want to get some wood in the 2 sawmills so we can get production going on that. One for the money and one so we can get our house on the go. Because I don't know if we want to be spending the winter in there if we can help it. Alright, well I want to have enough time to show every process, so I think I'll leave you there for the mowing. I'm going to get this mowed up, and like I said, in that bare patch I will try and paint some grass in, some meadow grass, and see if we can mow that, if that fixes it. And I will let you know the result of that when I bring you back, and we'll do some tedding. So I will see you in a little while. Well, we're back here at the farm, and we are ready to start tedding. Now, if you look down there, you will see we now have grass in that area where there was none dropping. I just went and painted in grass, and I was able to mow that, and it dropped. So that is been corrected. Now, I don't know if that was intentional on the map maker's part, that there be some areas that didn't produce grass. But that didn't really fit our storyline, so it's been fixed. Now, speaking of storyline, I realized I kind of deviated there when we ordered this equipment, and it just instantly showed up. There's no stock there at that location. It had to be delivered from the town. And that is, what they say, 8 miles away. So that would take probably a half hour to get here. You know, if they had everything ready and brought it right away. So I'll be trying to be a little more aware of that in the future. Now, I was pretty happy to get the upgraded windrower because that not only speeds up the windrowing, but then it speeds up the baling too, because we have a reduced number of windrows. But it would have been nice to upgrade the the tedder here at the same time. Our tractor could have handled that larger tedder no problem. But as it is, this tedder, we're going to get the grass tedded in half the time it took us to mow it. But that's a pretty cheap upgrade that we could look at in the future, because we only put $6,000 into this tedder, and the other one, I think, what was it, 16? Something like that. So it's something we can easily upgrade. Now this farm equipment is going to have to sit out in the weather, unfortunately. Sharing my sleeping accommodation with my beloved pickup truck is one thing, but a bunch of farm equipment, I don't think so. So until such time as we're able to start putting some other sheds down, unfortunately, just going to be exposed to the elements for now. Now my goal is to have a crop field in next spring. Probably won't be very big, because I can't imagine we'll be upgrading our tractor between now and then. But we don't need much. I'd like to get a little, probably barley field in, because I'd like to get some chickens. Eventually like to be kind of self-sustained. So have pigs, chickens, and cattle on the farm likely. Maybe even sheep or goats, we'll see. Now because we have the haying equipment, we could do cattle before a cattle pasture right away, as soon as we could afford it. But for chickens we need some type of cereal crop to feed them, so that will take more equipment on our part. Hope I don't have to go into more debt. When we started out, we were even. Didn't have any debt, didn't have any money. Now we've got a bunch of debt. Even looks looking pretty good. And I'm not sure how long it's going to actually take us to get work that debt down. I haven't sold any wood products on FS25 yet. I don't know how profitable they're going to turn out to be. But we'll know soon enough. All right, that about takes care of that. So I will go and grab our windrower, and I will meet you back here, and we'll get this windrowed up so we can get her baled. So we'll see you in a bit. Okay, on to the windrowing. Now this first one I am going to pull in from this edge here, just so we don't have any issue baling, because we're right along our border. But our windrower should be able to pull it in, no problem at all. Alright, now we should be able to go back and forth long ways here. You don't need to worry about doing that at the other end, because that's all our property. This shouldn't take too long at all. Hopefully we get lucky in the used market at some point. That would be nice. Sometimes, yeah, I do catch a break in there. And in other, like, playthroughs, like, just nothing. We'll see how this one goes. Now, it could have mowed, like I said, a much larger patch, but I will mow it, but I just kind of want to break out. I don't want to do all logging and then or all grass work. Just kind of break it up a little bit for myself, so it's not so don't get bored. Okay, well, we're on to the baling. Then after that, we get some money back. So, as with last time, I'll get this parked up. I'll go grab our baler, and I will bring you back in. Now, baling is a little bit slower process. So I'll probably bale some of this up and then bring you in towards the end so we can see how many bales we got. So we'll see in a little bit. While we're baling, it's nice in-cab work. Seems like this baler has a pretty decent pickup on it, like all the other base game balers. Makes it a pleasure to use. Now, if for those of you who aren't bothered by little bits being left behind in the field, it's probably not a big deal, but that's the kind of thing that would drive me nuts. I always like to make sure every little bit was picked up. No, that's not realistic, but that's just my nature. And I looked at the time, it's probably about 2 o'clock now in the afternoon, so we're doing well. Just need to get these loaded. I'll just load them by hand, obviously. And don't need super strength to do that. We'll get them loaded up and sold. That probably will be finish off this episode, but it gives me lots of time left today to do some logging now and get the 2 new sawmills we have up and running, and maybe potentially even sell a few logs. There we go. first farm work for our little Massey completed. Now, there should be probably a couple bales we can just unload here. Actually, I can turn this on and then this on. 33 bales, and I believe that will unload. There we go. That unloads. I had to turn it off first. So 35 bales. That one's going to need a little help here, I think. All right. Well, I will get these loaded up onto our trailer. And we'll go and sell them and see what we get. So I'll meet you back at the sell point. Well, we're down here at the sell point. I got all 35 bales loaded on this trailer. Now, one difference between 22 and 25 is that when you pick up an object, it no longer has a collision. Now, sometimes that's handy, and actually for loading the wood, that worked out pretty well. But I can tell you, for loading these bales, I wish the collision was back on. It didn't help with bale loading a whole lot when you had to do it by hand. What would be nice is if you had the option to toggle that on or off. You could have the collision on or off as you chose. And the other thing I had an issue with, and now maybe someone out there can tell me I'm doing something wrong, but I can't rotate an object when I picked it up anymore, like you could in 22. I don't know if I'm missing something, doing something wrong, or if that's just the way it is, but that's not very handy. That's why I've got 3 bales sitting on hedge there. But anyways, let's drive over to the sell point. We'll see what we'll get for this. It's not going to be a huge payday, I don't expect, but it will be money coming from what some would consider a pure farming activity. Oh, look at that. That's all right, actually. That's a little more than I was expecting. But as far as farm income, that's our first from, like I say, what some would consider a pure farming activity. Some don't consider logging farming, although I had an uncle who had a dairy farm that every winter he would log off or cut logs on his property. Anyways, I think we're going to call that an episode. I just again want to say thank you to all the new subscribers. I really appreciate you joining the channel. And I think the next time we meet will likely be next month, or certainly well into late this month, because it's just going to be more grass cutting and more logging. I will need to get that other sawmill located, that temporary one, and yet today I'm hoping to get some logs into them so they can start processing. The main sawmill, of course, like I mentioned, will be products that we'll just sell off, and the sawmill at the farm we'll use for providing materials for our construction projects. So that's likely when I'll bring you in, is when we've got some pallets to deliver to our house. Anyways, I will leave you there. If you're still with me, I really appreciate you watching. If you haven't already, I encourage you to hit that like and subscribe button. And if you want to know when other content like this land, click on that little notification bell. But for this episode here on New Frontier, it's Farmer Murphy signing off.